Good morning. It is March 20th, 2022, and I'm fresh out of bed, still in my jammies and with my bed hair, so please forgive me for that. But I was just going through some YouTube videos and realized that I had posted that first video announcing that I had scheduled weight loss surgery, and I had intended to follow up with more videos talking about my whole experience. Well, I completely spaced it, and I haven't been doing that. So I'm going to try to do a little bit of catch up. So it's March 20th. I had surgery February 28th. So I'm about 20 days out. And I want to tell you in this video all about my experience leading up to surgery and the surgery. And then I'll do feature videos on my experience since and my progress, just to do a little catch up, get you up to speed if you're interested in knowing about this. So first of all, I scheduled my surgery with Dr. Miguel Navarro in Tijuana. And the reason I chose Dr. Navarro is because he's done thousands of surgeries. He was trained in France, which I was very impressed by. I think both for bariatric and laparoscopic surgery. And he has a 0 mortality rate. And the hospital had a really good record. It was Ciba Hospital is where I went. And they have a very good low infection rate and low complication rate. They handle those things. So, and Ciba Hospital is strictly bariatric. They only do bariatric, no plastic surgery, no weird, no other stuff going on. So all their nurses, all their staff are highly trained in bariatric patients. So that was a big plus. So I'm back in the States. I'm in Oklahoma. I had my RV and my travel trailer and my pickup parked in Oklahoma because that's where I left to 5.5 months ago for Mexico. And so as you can see, that's where I am now. I'm back in my trailer, and we're expecting some big storms this week, so I don't want to hit the road for home. So I went ahead and rented a space for a few weeks, and I'm just going to camp out here, and I will start heading back to Nevada in a few weeks. So plus my brother is coming in and some other family members around the first of the month, so that'll give me a chance to see them. So anyway, back to the days leading up to the surgery. So after I posted the video announcing that I'm having surgery, the day I scheduled, they told me you have to start the pre-op diet right now because I scheduled 2 weeks out, and you're required to be on the pre-op diet for 2 weeks, or maybe it's a month. I don't know, but I needed to do it. So the pre-op diet was basically low fat, low carb, and super high protein. So I started drinking a protein shake every day. I got IsoPure protein, which I really like those. They taste good. I got the first one was the IsoPure cookies and cream, which is all they had, and I wasn't too sure about that, but it turned out to be fine. I added different things I made smoothies with ice in them, and I added milk and I added berries and things to make higher protein and change up the flavor and things like that. And I had, other than that, the rest of the day I had high protein foods like eggs or meat, because I could still eat those things. But lean meats and salads and things like that. So it was a very healthy, very good diet for that 2 weeks, and I did lose some. I think I lost since my high weight leading up to the surgery, I actually lost, I think it was roughly 35 pounds on my own. And 5 of that probably was the pre-op diet, but I always tend to lose weight when I travel. My problem is I go home and I gain it back, so not this time, but I hadn't gained back all the weight that if a couple of keto and I lost about 40 pounds, and I think I had regained about 20. Then I lost another 10 while I was traveling, and then I probably lost another 5 on the pre-op diet. So at least I was headed the right direction, but my health heading south, and I felt that I needed to do something drastic and fast. And I've really been losing my mobility. I've gotten to where it's difficult to get up off the ground. Stairs are difficult, although working up to it, I was in a 2-story, actually a 3-story house, and I did do a lot of stairs and strengthen my legs, so that was a good thing. But over those months, I was also doing a lot of supplements and really eating quite healthy. I spent the first month and a half, maybe it was 2 months, in the state of Oaxaca, in Huatulco on the coast and of Mexico, southern coast. And the Oaxacan cuisine is pretty healthy compared to a lot of Mexico. So a lot of fresh foods, whole foods, and so I was, doing a pretty good job other than my usual issue, which is having a sweet tooth. And I kind of also got into the Mexican breads, pastries that you get in the delis, and I was trying those, but I did manage to limit those to like 1 a day. But I'm sure it didn't help. I probably would have done even better than I did had I left those alone, and sweets. That said, did the pre-op diet for a couple weeks. During that time, right after I scheduled, the lady who was renting to me, I was in Cuernavaca, and the lady who was renting her mother's house to me said she was going to the United States. So she was going to see her mother in the United States, who's been living there for a while. And so she wanted to come with me to Tijuana and help me through the surgery. I'd only known this woman for a month, so that was the most, I was just heartstruck. I couldn't believe that someone would do that for me that barely knew me, but she did. She flew to Tijuana and she helped me through it. So Annette is my new, she's an angel that was sent to me at a time when I really needed her. So she's my new friend, but I consider her to be my lifelong friend and my family now, because I can't believe she would do such a thing for me. And she ended up spending a full week. I think it was a full week with me on this. So we booked our flights to Tijuana, and we traveled there on the Friday before surgery. I was having surgery Monday, but I transfer funds. I needed to get funds out of my US bank account, and I was having an issue with that. The surgeon's office wasn't accepting a wire transfer and a lot of the typical things. They would only accept cash or a debit card. But for the debit card, they wanted an 8% fee, which was going to amount to something like $500 and some dollars. So I wasn't about to do that either. I thought, worst case scenario, I can cross over in Tijuana and just go to the bank. But I didn't want to carry all that cash. And anyway, the end result on that is I ended up, let's see, how many minutes in are we? I don't want to make these too long. Okay. I ended up transferring the money through Remitly I needed $6,000. My surgery was going to cost for gastric bypass because there was an extra $500 fee for hiatal hernia repair and $500 fee for revision because I had a not botched, but I had a lap band before that eroded into my stomach, and I had damage to my stomach, so it made my surgery a little more complicated. But that was like 9 years ago that it was taken out, so that was totally healed and everything, but they still wanted to charge the revision fee for that, which is, I understand. So I needed $6,000. So I ended up, I think I drew out 300 or 600 out of the ATM over the days prior to the surgery. And I transferred after trying to figure out multiple ways to do it. I was finally able to make a transfer with a lot of paperwork and a lot of hoops, $5,000 through Remitly to Banorte, a bank in Mexico, and pick it up there, but I had to pick it up in cash. So when we arrived in Tijuana, the surgeon had a private driver, and there were actually 2 guys, pick us up at the airport. And I asked to be taken directly to the bank and then directly to wherever I needed to pay, because I didn't want to be carrying $5,000 in cash around Tijuana for obvious reasons. So, but I was super thirsty when we arrived, and I knew I needed to get my blood drawn. So I asked them to stop at an OXXO. OXXO's like a convenience store, like a Circle K or something, 7-Eleven. So I asked them to stop and let me get some water. And it was quite interesting because I've been in Mexico already 5 months, and one of the guys escorted me into the store, stood there like a guard, like a bodyguard, and watched and waited for me. And then when we came back out and I got back in, it was like a suburban. I looked across the parking lot, and there was a guy sitting there in a car staring at us. And it was frightening. He had the look of absolute hate on his face. And I don't know what he saw in us that made him want to look at us that way. I believe, well, my friend is a Mexicana, and I get mistaken all the time for a Latina myself. So I don't feel that he looked at us as Americans or gringos of any sort. I don't think it was anything like that. But this guy looked full of hate. Anyway, so that pierced into my brain. I won't ever forget that. Anyway, so then they took us to the bank. It took quite some time to go through their process, but without too big a hitch, I was able to get the money out, and $5,000 in pesos. It's a lot of money. The biggest bill in pesos is 500. So you can imagine, I had this stack of money like this. It was ridiculous. They couldn't even put it in an envelope. They put it in like a paper bag, kind of. And then I just had a little tiny purse with me. It wouldn't fit in there. So I didn't want to go carrying this big wad of cash in this paper bag out the door. So I had to give the money to my friend and trust her with it, which I felt I could do that, but not the ideal situation. So she had a bigger purse, so she put the money in there. And all the while, our bodyguard is standing there waiting for us. So then we went to the hospital. They took us to the hospital. And because I was there already, they decided to do my pre-op testing. So I paid in cash, and it was the coordinator doctor that was taking the payment, and she had to count through all that, and then I still had about a $500 balance or something like that. So the rest of that did end up going on my card, but that helped minimize the fees by getting most of it in cash. So anyway, then we did the pre-op testing. So pre-op testing, they weighed and measured me, although the measurements to me seemed incorrect. She put it around my waist and said that was my hips, and I don't know if that was just I don't think she ever measured my hips or any of the areas where I really carry my weight, so most of my weight. So I didn't think much of the measurements, but we did the weight. They did I was shocked when I saw the labs because my liver enzymes were all screwed up. And I think if anything, everything should have been really good after that 2 weeks of pre-op diet and months of healthy living. And the last labs I had in the US were actually very good. So I'm skeptical about the labs. I wonder if my blood got mixed up with someone else's, but I don't know. Anyway, but they did the labs. I believe that's all they did for pre-op. I don't recall them doing anything else. So that was Friday. For the last 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, I went on straight clear liquid diet. I kind of had to figure that out myself the first day because we were staying at the Holiday Inn. But then Sunday, the part of the surgery fee included a night at another hotel in Tijuana. So the driver came and took us there. And there they provided broth, jello, things like that for the clear liquid diet. And that was kind of torture because I still had my whole stomach and I had to go on all these liquids. So, and then after, I don't remember if it was 8 p.m. or midnight, of course, I went to nothing by mouth. But I was probably asleep by then. So that's the period leading up to the surgery. I'm going to go ahead and see where we are. Oh, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and cut this video off here. And for the next video, I'm going to tell you about my experience having the surgery and my few days of recovery afterwards. So I'll see you in the next one.